girlfriend wants to have guy friends and do things alone with them. I told her this is a deal breaker for me in a relationship. Original post. So I was dating a woman for a bit. I broke up with her over this about a month ago and fell really deeply in love with her. She was perfect in almost every way, and I really enjoyed and cherished the time we spent together. She told me she has guy friends, which I don't really care about at all. But then she hits me with this. We travel and go on vacation together sometimes. I told her I don't care if she has friends who are guys, but going out and doing things alone with them, including things such as vacations, is not something I'm willing to accept in a woman I have a relationship with. She then freaks out and suggests I'm trying to control her and that I don't trust her. I explained that I do trust her at the moment, but I don't trust men. Later on, she texts me that she's in a full-blown PTSD crisis because I'm trying to control her like her ex-husband. I explain I'm not trying to control her and she has her own choices to make, but I can't accept her going on vacations with other men and stand firm on my boundaries. She then accuses me of crossing her boundaries. Then she shifts to explaining that she sometimes goes to tech conferences with other men, a totally different story from what she explained earlier about going on vacations with another woman's husband, and she's totally okay with it because they trust each other 100%. Then she says they don't share a hotel or anything. They just meet up at conferences. This is a different story because they apparently did share the same hotel, even if it wasn't the same room. I'm not jealous of the vacationing ability. I make a lot more money than both her and her friend combined, so that's something we could do. But she still wants to go on those vacations with guy friends. This stuff all happened before I met her, but at this point, I no longer had any trust in her due to mounting red flags, and the value of a relationship with her in my eyes dropped considerably. So I called off the relationship respectfully and left. And apparently, I caused her some serious PTSD trauma, and I'm an a-hole. Am I wrong? Now for the top comments before reading the update. We all have boundaries and things that are deal breakers. She's allowed to have boundaries, and so are you. You're both adults, and she's free to do as she pleases. She's free to go on trips with other men, and you're free to say you're not okay with it and it's a deal breaker. I don't understand how one person can have a boundary they don't want crossed, but then to the other person, it's controlling, and you have to be okay with it. Do what you want, and I'll do the same. And if that means I'm leaving if you go on trips with other guys, so be it. He's not crossing any of her boundaries by not wanting her to go on vacation with another man. She's bastardizing the word boundary as some sort of childish attempt to win an argument that shouldn't even be a question for most couples. I've seen a lot of boundary talk on this sub, and I think it tends to be used in a weird way sometimes. And in my opinion, it's all part of the growing individualism in some cultures and the loss of true human interactions and healthy dependability. If people want to be single, be single. If people want to be in a relationship, it's not always a boundary when your partner expects the relationship to actually be a relationship. There are boundaries, and then there's, I'll treat this like a relationship when it benefits me and me only. Are we talking about conferences or vacations? Meeting up with male friends at conferences is normal and acceptable to me. Going on vacation, on the other hand, is unusual and the sort of thing that inherently is going to cause suspicion. Vacationing alone with another man is intimate. Attending a conference isn't. I don't care about conferences at all, or the male friends, and I explained this. The problem I have is like her going to actual vacations with another dude. No, just no. Yeah, if this is a boundary that she's not willing to commit to, then you are right to just not progress in the relationship. This won't work for you, especially with all of her anger. She's blaming you for not putting up with her. You don't have to. You're not married. If this is something you can't deal with, then you can't deal with it. End of story. You're not telling her that she can't do it. What you're telling her is she can do whatever she wants, but you don't want to be a part of it, and that's your right. To be fair, she isn't the angry type. She's super sweet. I didn't see any anger, just sadness and anxiety, stuff I can deal with. Well, you may be able to deal with it now, but just think how it's going to be if you were to marry her and have children. Her sadness and anxiety are never going to go away. If she gets pregnant, it'll get worse. Those are things you have to decide whether or not you're willing to put up with for the rest of your life. I would not suggest it. I married someone who had depression, anxiety, etc. During our marriage, I always thought it was me. I now realize it wasn't. However, when you're in the middle of that situation and you want to help, it doesn't work out. They end up cheating on you and blaming you. They blame you for being sad. They blame you for being upset. They blame you for all of that. She may be sweet, but obviously not as sweet as you think, because she doesn't feel that she should have to abide by your boundaries. There's no reason you can't be friends. I'm not saying to just blow her off, but you need to look at what you want for your life. This comment hit me like a ton of bricks. Damn, I need to stop trying to fix people. Now for the update. I know a lot of y'all said things like, she's crazy, she sounds nuts, etc. Honestly, I don't believe she is crazy. Mental health is a serious issue, and we shouldn't ostracize those who are sick. While I do know she had mental health problems, I do as well. We both suffered from PTSD, and I believe that, yes, she is telling me the truth about having PTSD. Do I think she's weaponizing it? Maybe, but it didn't seem like a conscious effort. She did try to manipulate me several times, but I chalked this up to her being very insecure, and we actually talked through it maturely. She is a beautiful and genuine person, both inside and out, but we aren't compatible. I've had enough experience with girls who date guy friends to set this as a boundary for myself, to avoid women like that. I need to be with someone who has enough agency to realize it's not a great idea to be vacationing with other straight men while in a committed relationship if the other partner is not comfortable with it. Look, everyone has problems, and nobody is perfect. She is free to live her life the way she wants, and I am free to do the same with my own life. I wish her the best, and I really hope she finds her other half. Next story. I, 34 female, am thinking of just never coming back after Christmas to my boyfriend, 31 male. I have been with my boyfriend for almost 6 years. 2 years ago, we had a conversation where I made it clear that I didn't want to wait more than 5 years for a proposal. At the time, we were living in France, and I was hoping for a proposal while we were there. It never came. We moved back to the US and got an apartment. I thought he'd eventually propose soon. We were coming up on our 5-year anniversary and the renewal of our apartment lease. At this point, I had left Europe for him. Before that, I had put off opportunities and waited for him to finish his PhD. When he talked about renewing, I said I would no longer enter any contracts with him without a proposal. He promised a proposal, and now it's been 9 months since that conversation. Now I live in a city that is very expensive, far from any family or friends, for a job he took. It's hard on my job, which is remote in a different time zone, and it's starting to affect it. We are now getting closer to our 6-year anniversary with no proposal. I sat him down and was straightforward. I told him that if he didn't want to get engaged, that's fine, but I'd like to move back closer to family and just make a break of it. He told me he had a ring and wanted to get married 100%, but hadn't found the right time to ask. I told him that being tricked into waiting this long, past when I set a timeline, was really making the whole thing unappealing in general, and that I never wanted to drag someone into doing it. I said I live in one of the most expensive cities in the world for him, have no friends or family here, and now apparently, I have a boyfriend who won't even propose despite everything. He promised and even went and got the ring he bought. I didn't see it, just the box, and said he'd do it right then. I said no, he had plenty of time to plan a proper one. He promised to do one. I didn't say anything to that. It's been over 2 months since then, and we are traveling to his hometown for Thanksgiving. His hometown is beautiful, and he had planned a trip to this scenic area. I thought he might do it, but I asked if he was going to get a haircut the day before we left, and he said, no, why? He looks like a mess right now. I realized then it wasn't happening. I was planning to go home for Christmas early, mid-December, he knows this, and come back right after Christmas. I'm thinking about just not coming back. I know I'm going to get the array of, me and my husband took X amount of time, and I'm glad I waited. Or, if you really loved him, you'd see it through. but I'm thousands of miles from anyone who cares about me, with no friends. I left an amazing life in Europe to stay with him. It's ruining my job. It's breaking my bank to live in the city he had to move to for work. I'm depressed, I'm lonely, and as far as I can tell, not worth respecting a timeline for a proposal. I've told a small number of people, and some think it's a shame because my boyfriend is so great. So would you leave? Yes or no? Now for the comments before reading the update. Sounds like you already know the answer. Time to leave. Does OP want to spend her life feeling like she had to push boyfriend into marriage? Next, he will delay the wedding, etc. OP deserves someone who adores her. The truth is, he doesn't want to marry her. If he wanted to, he would. 5 years is a long time to not have progressed to the next step, even if you're taking it slow. Your reasoning is that you are lonely, have no friends or family around, and your work and quality of life are suffering. I'm failing to see how a proposal would solve any of that. Miserable with a ring is still miserable. It'll just make it harder to leave. It sounds like you're constantly expected to make huge compromises for someone who rarely makes any for you. You would not be the a-hole, and frankly, I think you should leave him either way. Agree completely. This guy knows how OP feels. He has been told. He simply doesn't care. Either because he thinks OP will never leave, or because her feelings don't count, or both. I've come across similar stories many times. A woman who waits for a proposal for years, and when the relationship inevitably ends, the dude ends up very quickly engaged and married to the next woman they date. They always think the person they're with will put up with their crap. The fact is that the boyfriend isn't great. He's selfish. It's okay to not want to get married. What's not okay is stringing someone along, knowing they don't want what you want. I'd say OP should do what makes her happy. She's been doing everything according to what her boyfriend wants for so long that it's become an alien concept to make herself happy. But only OP can make that choice. Now for the update. Okay, so an enormous number of people have left comments and messaged me. 1. Lots of advice, opinions, and projections. Some good, but a lot of sexism too. Y'all are weird for that. 2. Why don't I propose? He has vehemently made it clear it's something he wants to do. It also doesn't solve the crux of the issue. 3. Me bringing up his lack of haircut is an indication that he had no plans to propose on this trip. He individually would not propose without cleaning himself up. That's a him thing, not a me thing. I don't care how he looks. 4. Many have told me I'm pathetic for believing in marriage. I'm very non-traditional in most ways. It's part of why this has gone on so long. I didn't put much weight into marriage until about 3 years in. This is an expectation I've communicated once it became important. He agreed on it, but didn't follow through. You can swap this with any expectation in a relationship that feels right and important to you. Be creative. On to the update, I suppose. I withdrew my application for marriage, for lack of a better description. I told him that it didn't seem like it was something he actually wanted to do, and that I didn't have an interest in being engaged to him any longer, as the prospect was wholly unexciting at this point, all while being at his parents' for Thanksgiving. It was awkward, obviously, but being there made it feel all the more ridiculous. Like, why am I here? Why am I talking about the dog we want with your mom? This isn't real because it's clearly not what you want. I'm playing a part. I played the part for the week. I also found tickets home and told him that I was going to see my family and start seeking out jobs that may or may not include him in my life. His reaction was very, qu'est-ce que c'est, Pikachu face? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a clean wrap-up on this, just a clean intent. Last story. Am I the a-hole for marrying a rich man and letting him do whatever he wants, including sleeping with other women? My 25 female grew up poor. My mom, 45 female, worked 2 jobs, and my sister, 23 female, and I had to help out from a young age. Life was tough, and I swore to myself that I would do whatever it took to escape poverty. A few years ago, I met my husband, 35 male. He's very wealthy, and while our relationship started with genuine attraction and love, his wealth was definitely a factor in my decision to marry him. He provides me with a lifestyle I never thought I could have. A beautiful home, luxury vacations, and financial security. We have 2 kids, a daughter, 3 female, and a son, 1 male. They mean the world to me, and being able to give them a life I never had growing up is incredibly important to me. But my husband sleeps with other women. He was upfront about it from the beginning. And while it hurt at first, I've come to terms with it. To him, it's purely physical. And he's always made me feel like the most important person in his life emotionally and materially. Recently, my mom and sister found out about his infidelities. They're furious and think he's taking advantage of me. They believe he's using his wealth to manipulate and control me, and they feel I'm sacrificing my dignity and self-respect for money. My mom cried, saying she raised me to value myself more than this, and my sister called him a predator who's exploiting my past struggles. From my perspective, I made a practical decision. I'm happy with the stability and comfort my marriage provides, and I don't see it as a loss of dignity. I chose to prioritize financial security for myself and my children. It's not like I'm being coerced or mistreated. My husband and I have an understanding, and it works for us. So, am I the a-hole for marrying a rich man and letting him do whatever he wants, including sleeping with other women, because I refuse to go back to being poor and want to provide a better life for my kids? This doesn't sound like infidelities since you knew about it. Also, you have decided that you like this arrangement especially since money seems like the most important facet of this relationship. So spend his money and let him bed who he wants, and tell your family that this is who you are. She better be saving some of his money. She'll get old and he'll want a younger woman one day. There is nothing wrong with OP being in a time-limited relationship, as long as she's smart about it. She needs to use those endless joint funds for a decent education and to help establish her own independent credit. Keep her body and personality healthy and in good shape. Build and strengthen those connections that only the truly wealthy can make. Get the kids into the right daycares and schools. Make sure their college funds are in an independent trust held outside of marital funds that can't be frittered away or severely depleted. Their relationship is sentimental, but also a business, so it's her job to make sure she's doing her side of the business. She can spend money now on ludicrous purses and eyelash extensions, or make a solid investment in her own future no matter how the chips may fall. If she doesn't, well, that's on her. He was honest all along. Not the a-hole. If you're happy with the arrangement and certain it's not gonna blow up in your kids' faces later, then it's none of their business. It will blow up in his kids' faces when he gets one of his paramours pregnant. Or should I say, another young lady who wants to snag a rich guy and baby trap him? He got a vasectomy. He also wears a condom, so it's really hard for that to happen. So does this mean you can find other lovers? What protections are in place for you, should he decide to upgrade to another woman? I'm saving money. I also have cars and jewelry, houses, which I could sell if I needed to. I would start a business and have him invest in it as an insurance plan, just in case. Get it up and running. You could even hire people to run it, so you have consistent income. I have investments, but that's a good idea as well.